Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me here today at Krista So Crafty. I'm Krista, and I appreciate you joining me here. If you're enjoying these type of videos, please feel free to click on the subscribe button. I'd love you to join my community. If you like this video or any other video, please make sure you click on the thumbs up below each of the videos and click on that little bell, and it'll notify you when I upload some new videos. Hello, everybody. So here we go. We are going to start making one of these little, I don't even know what to call them, like a cord cover, I guess. So, you know, when you have your cords for your, like a extension cord or something, and there's no tie or anything with it, this is a little thing that you can make to go around. So it's gonna go around like that and Velcro close, and the cord will be inside. So it'll keep everything nice and neat. So I just made myself a little pattern. It's pretty simple. Let's see, this is probably 3 inches by, sorry, I should have had this measured, 5 inches for this size. So 3 inches by 5 inches, and you're just going to take this and cut 2 pieces of material. I have just some scrap material that I had in my scrap pile, and this is all about using up our scraps. I don't know about you, but I have way too many. And it seems like every time you make one thing using up scraps, you make more scraps, and then you have to do something else to use up the scraps, and so on and so on and so on. So here we are, we're going to use up some scraps. You'll also need some interfacing just to stiffen this up. If you're using a thicker material, you maybe could get away with not doing the interfacing, but I don't know if you can see, but this material is pretty thin. So I'm going to use some scrap interfacing that I have here. And so we're going to make this size, and then I'm also going to show you how to use the same pattern, but to make this longer, because not all cord lengths are going to fit within that tiny little hole, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll show you how to take this and make it a bit longer so it'll be a bigger hole for a bigger extension cord. So let's get into it. First thing I'm going to do, open up my fabric, make sure I have enough for what I'm going to do. Okay, get it all lined up here. Whoops, sorry, should do it inside out so that when you're drawing, that it's on the reverse side. Okay, and I'm going to take this. I'm going to try using this. Now this is just going to be my cut line, so I'm not too concerned about this. Yep, nope, that's not going to work at all. Black Jiffy marker should work. Yes, there we go. So I'm just tracing around here. Now if you want, you can pin your pattern in place. Just put a couple pins in to secure it. I'm okay with just doing this. Okay, so that's that. Now I will put a couple pins in it now, just to hold it in place while I'm cutting this, okay? But before we cut it, what I find is it's easier to take it and sew on that line before we cut it away. So we're gonna go around and we're gonna start about here. I don't know if you can see my lines, just barely. We're gonna start about here, we're gonna do a back stitch, and then we're gonna go all the way around on that line, all the way around and to about here, and do a little back stitch. We're going to leave an opening so we can turn this. And you're probably sitting here thinking, Krista, but what are you doing? You don't have your interfacing on there yet. And you're right. Normally you would take and put your interfacing on first. I'm just going to do it the other way around. So I'm going to stitch all the way around, then I will cut it out, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I will take it to the iron with my interfacing and iron that on, just on the one side. But I'll show you that as we go. So remember, we're going to start on one edge. Make sure you leave enough room to turn it, and don't start too close to the edge. Give yourself about, I don't know, 1/2 inch or a little more. So get this lined up, put my needle down, and away we go. I'm just going to hold on to that thread, and we're going to back stitch, go to the corner and stop with my needle down, lift my presser foot, and I'm going to spin my material, and I'm just going to follow that curve. Now go slow, nice and easy. There's no need to race on this. So just follow it around. As you see, I'm just using this hand to kind of turn the material as I go. And I'm not going fast. And then needles down. I'm going to raise my presser foot. Just going to scoot that pin out of the way. And then all the way down. Right to there. And again, we have another curve. So again, nice and slow. I'm going to pull that pin out of there. Okay, and we'll turn and we'll go back down the other side. Stop, and we're going to back stitch. And there we go. So I used white thread on this just so you could see it, but of course you would use a coordinating thread. So I've left my opening here, stitched all the way around. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my interfacing over to the iron. All right, so I have my little piece. I just used that same template and I cut out my interfacing. Now remember, with interfacing, there's one side that's rough and one side that's smooth. The rough side is the glue, so that's the side we want to go down onto our material. So I'm going to turn this over and just lay it down. And I deliberately didn't cut mine as wide, just so that there's not as much bulk around in the seams when we go to do it. Whoops, see, I just about did that. I always like to put something over top of my interfacing so it doesn't stick to my iron on the back side. I have, in my day, put the interfacing on the wrong side and went like this with my iron, and guess where the interfacing stuck? To the bottom of my iron. So I always put something down over it now, because let me tell you, that was a mess to clean up. Okay, so make sure you follow the manufacturer's instructions for your interfacing that you're using and get it stuck on there, and we'll go back to the sewing machine. All right, so now we are going to take our scissors and we're going to trim to 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch away from our seam that we just did. Okay, and there's really no need to use pinking shears right now because you're not going to see the inside, so if it frays on the inside, nobody's going to see it. So here's our opening. What I like to do is to go up to it and just kind of veer off and leave a little wider piece by the opening, so that when we flip this and go to turn this around and close up that seam, you have more material to fold under. Okay, and the other thing I like to do is at this point, I like to take it and fold it over. Just going to give it a finger press for right now. And so that when we do flip it, it'll make it come together so much easier when we go to put these together to stitch it. So again, I'm just going to give that a finger press. Like so. Both sides, I want them down. You could take it over to the iron too if you would like. Okay, let's move that stuff out of the way. And now we're going to turn it around. So I'm just going to reach in with my thumb like this, and I just go to the corner and I kind of tuck the corner down. And this is for any type of project that I'm flipping. And then I'll go to the other corner and kind of flip it and push it out that hole that we left. And go to the far corner, stick your thumb in there and flip it. We'll just keep doing that till you get all 4 corners done. Okay, pull this out. Now, you see that opening? See how those are just nicely folded under? Makes it so easy to put together. You don't have to guess and all that, so it's nice and neat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a turning tool or something. I like to take a pen. Now be careful, you don't want to poke the end of the pen through the material, through the seam. So just put it inside and just gently push out that corner and then run it along that curved line and see how it just popped right out there. Show you on the other side. Okay, so I'm just putting the pen in, going to the corner, making sure that corner's out, making sure this corner's out, and then I'm just taking the tip of the pen and running it right along this edge right here, gently, and see how nice it makes that corner, that curve pop out. So we have a nice neat curve now. Now I will take it to the iron and give it a press. Just make sure it's nice and flat, and I'll be right back. Here we are back at the sewing machine, and what we're going to do now is we're going to do about 1/8 of an inch stitch all the way around the outside of the whole entire piece. What that will do is it will give it a nice professional looking look to it, as well as it will close this hole in the process. So I like to start right above, so my opening is right here. I like to start right in this area, and again I'm using white thread. You would use a coordinating thread. Go as close to the edge as you can, so like I said, about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to zoom you in here. Okay, we're going to go now. We're going to go all the way around about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. When you get to the corner, put your needle down, lift your presser foot and turn, same as we did before, but this time obviously you're on the right side of the fabric. And now we're just going to go around using your other hand to kind of spin the material. And honestly, if you don't get it perfect all the way around, don't stress about it at all. This is not a showpiece or anything fancy. This is just going to be wrapped around some cords, probably in a junk drawer or in a garage or under the stairs. So, okay, needle down. Oops, my material went down in a little bit too far there. And let it go. Turn. Oops. And I'm going to go over top of the stitches that I did at the start, just by a few, and I'm going to reverse and then cut my threads. So now we'll bring this out and we'll just trim our thread. And again, my little one's on the back. And that part's all done. Now we just need to figure out a way that we're going to put a closure on it. I like to use Velcro, so we will go and do that step next. I have a little piece of Velcro here, I don't know, about 1 inch wide. I'm going to sew this onto this little strip, and this is what will be our closure, okay? The one thing you need to keep aware of is if you put a piece of Velcro on this side, that you have to turn it over, whoopsie, and put the other piece of Velcro on the other side so that when you wrap it around, they'll Velcro together. I'll show you that in a minute. Again, I'm not going to pin this. If you want, you can put a little pin through there. I find that when you put a pin in there, in through the Velcro, it really crumples it and it doesn't lay nice and flat. So I, again, just hold on to it. So we're going to start on one edge. We're going to do a little back stitch. You want to run right on the very kind of edge of the Velcro. So on both sides of the Velcro, there's a little tiny edge of material, and that's kind of where I'm stitching. Now across the ends, of course, you're going to have to stitch across the fuzzy end or the pokey end, but on the edges you'll just sew down on each side. Get to the corner, lift my presser foot, and around. Okay, we'll get to this corner and we're going to turn and we'll be right back where we started, and I'm going to give it a little back stitch. So once we trim our little thread here, so dark in this corner, I apologize, but once we trim that thread, so now I'm going to take the whole thing and I'm going to flip it right over so that I'll trim that in a minute. The Velcro is on the back side now, and this is where I'm going to put the other piece of Velcro, like this. You want to make sure you center it. Okay, get it centered, and we're going to do the exact same thing. And finish off with a back stitch. So, we'll do the same thing. We'll trim the thread, flip it over, and my machine does this. I think I've told you that before. Makes these long little threads, so I have to remember to go and clip them all off, just like that. Just like so. And you can see the stitch on the opposite, on the back side, from where the Velcro is. And here's the Velcro here with our stitches on that side. I just wanted to show you, so this is one of the little Velcro closure things that I made, cord closures, that just keep the extension cord all nice and neat. So I'll take this one off. It's made exact same way. Just take it, you wrap it around, flip it over, wrap it around, flip it over, and there you go. Nice and neat, keeps your cords together nice and neat. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and oh, wait, don't go yet. Remember, I was going to show you how to make it longer. 1 second. Like I promised, we're going to take this same pattern and use it to make a bit longer of a cord keeper in case your cord is either thicker or just longer, and then once you fold it, it's so thick that that won't go around it. I'll show you how to make this one. This time, we're going to actually trace it onto the interfacing. So I'm going to get just a pen, and we're going to start at the top. So I just have a piece of interfacing that's obviously longer than the pattern, which is what we want. So I'm going to start by getting over to the edge here so I can go down and make sure I have enough for what I'm doing. So I'm going to start up here, trace around the curve at the top, and down the side. Oops, I got to turn it here. Trace down the side and trace down the other side. This stuff keeps wiggling on me. Okay, so I've drawn all the way around the 3 sides, and now what I'm going to do, see, I'll show you. See, I have it traced around the 3 sides. So now what I'm going to do is decide how much longer I want it. Right now it goes to here. So I'm just going to lay this down here so you can get an idea. So that's the finished size. So I'm thinking maybe 1.5 inches longer, about 1 inch, between an inch, inch and a half longer, something like that. And then just lay your pattern back down, matching up the sides, and then just finish tracing this. Finish tracing around. Go around this end and around this side. Now, as you can see, hopefully you can see, we have a longer piece. So I'm going to hold that there, pinch that between my fingers so it'll stay. And as you can see, this one is going to be a little bit longer than the first one that we made. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I decided I have this really cute little elephant print fabric. It's pretty cute. Of course, you can use whatever you like. Remember, if you're going to put interfacing on, make sure you're doing it on the reverse side, on the back side. Okay, so I'm just making a little piece here. I'm actually going to take my scissors and just cut this excess off. I'm not cutting on the line, I'm leaving myself some room there. And then I'll just place it on my material. And I'm folding over my material so that after I press it, I can go ahead and just trim it up, sew on the line and then trim it, same as we did before. So let's just make this a little bit more manageable, like so. Let's take this over to the iron and press it down. All right, I have this ironed on and now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to do like I did before. I'm going to start about here, do a back stitch, go all the way around, sewing right on that line, and come back to about here and do a little back stitch, making sure that I'm leaving an opening at least 2 inches long so we can turn this right sides out. Let's trim it up again. So about a quarter, eighth of an inch, quarter of an inch away around the corner. Ooh, drop the material. Like that. Around this last corner. And remember to leave a bit of a larger opening in the area where we're going to flip it. Get my finger and thumb in here, reach into the corner. We're going to turn this. Make sure those corners are popped out. Remember, we can always take a pokey tool or a turning tool. Chopstick works really well. Get these corners flopped out. Flopped out, put out, pushed out, whatever you want to call it. All right, so I'm just going to grab this pen and again gently push that corner out, push out the other corner, and then run this along the curve just to pop that out, make that seam pop out nice. Okay, and then we'll turn around to the other side. These are so quick and easy. You could pop these out in, I don't know, you could probably do 5 of these an hour, more maybe 10. So again, we'll just take our opening, and I forgot to press those, so see how it's just a little bit more finicky. Still gonna work. I forgot to finger press those before I turned it, but that's okay. Tuck that in there. Nice and neat. Okay, I'm just going to take this over to the iron, give it a quick press, and I'll be right back. Everything just looks so nice when it's pressed. Oh, I have a little thread there. Let's get that trimmed off here. There we go. I'm just going to take this to the sewing machine and do a top stitch all the way around to close this up, and we'll move on to the next step. Nice and quick and easy. Little seam going all the way around. Looks nice and neat. So now, same as the other one, we're going to take our Velcro. Okay, and I'm going to stitch on this side, flip it over, and stitch this one on this side. And I'll be right back. We're all done. Yay. Now all we have left to do is trim up these threads. And there we have it. It is all done. So now we can wrap it around, and as you can see, there's a bigger hole compared to, I'll just show you with this bumblebee one, but see when this one's closed, there we go, there we go. And so now you can see that it's a bigger opening. So yeah, you can make these any length you want, which would be kind of cool. You can use all different types of scraps of material. The other thing too is you don't have to use Velcro. If you have the can snaps, you could use those, so you could just snap them together. I just figured this was a nice little project to use some Velcro up on. Yeah, there we go. All nice and easy, fast little project. I hope you enjoyed this. Happy crafting, guys.